Chapter 8. Challenge of the Samurai. The group was in really high spirits at the moment. A lot of good things had happened so far on their way through Viridian Forest. Ash had captured not one, but two Pokemon, a Pidgeotto and Caterpie. They were even able to defend their Pokemon from Team Rocket, and in doing so, Ash and Serena won their first Pokemon battle fair and square. Caterpie had even evolved into Metapod in the process. All that was left now for their trek through Viridian Forest to be successful was have Serena catch her first Pokemon as well. She might get that opportunity right now. "Hey, look guys, it's a Weedle!" Ash said excitedly, pointing at one that was crawling along in their path. Weedle was like a brown caterpillar-like Pokemon with pink suction cup feet. It looked harmless enough if you didn't count the stinger on its forehead. "Great, more bugs," Misty mumbled, but not loud enough for the others to hear. "Serena, you should try to capture this Weedle since you haven't gotten a Pokemon yet," Ash told her. "Right, thanks Ash," Serena said. This was going to be her first attempt to catch another Pokemon. She could do this. She was just about to throw the Pokeball to release Charla, but Weedle had suddenly disappeared. Where did it go?" Serena asked. "Well, it was just another bug, so..." Misty began, but then she felt something against her leg. She looked down, and there was a Weedle rubbing up against it. Why were bug Pokemon so attached to her? Misty let out a mighty scream and fled away from the group. She had really had it with this forest. "She'll be back in a little bit," Ash told Serena, who giggled in response. "Bugs, bugs, bugs! Oh, I hate bugs!" Misty continued to say to herself. Here she was, trying to be nice to Caterpie, and even not repulsed at the sight of a bug. So what does one do? It touches her the first chance it gets. And bug Pokemon really bugged her. Just then, she heard what sounded like a battle cry as a boy came out of the bushes beside her. He was oddly dressed to say the least. He wore a helmet on his head and was dressed in a red shirt and black shorts. He wore sandals on his feet and had a bug-catching net strapped to his back. It wasn't any of those things that had Misty's attention, however. It was the sword that he was pointing right at her face. Maybe she spoke too soon about how it couldn't get any worse. Misty stared fearfully at the sword until finally the strange boy spoke up. "Greetings, maiden. I am Samurai. Am I addressing a trainer from the town of Pallet?" he asked. No, that's not me. I'm not from Pallet Town," Misty said frantically while shaking her head back and forth. To her great relief, he finally removed the sword from in front of her face and sheathed it by his side. "Alas," Samurai said, "I apologize. My search shall continue." Samurai then began to walk off, but stopped. "I would advise you to quit screaming while you're in this forest. Before you ask, yes, I heard you earlier. If you continue, you will only attract a horde of Beedrill," he said. With that, Samurai continued to walk off and soon disappeared from view. Misty sank to her knees and let out a sigh of relief. Whew, what a weird kid. Why would he be looking for a trainer from Pallet? She wondered. Realization hit Misty instantly, and she let out a gasp. Wait, Ash and Serena are from Pallet Town. Serena had decided she should get back to focusing on the Weedle before it really did get away. "Go, Charla!" she called as she threw the Pokeball. "Char! Charla said once it was released. "Okay, Charla, I know we can do this. Let's catch that Weedle," Serena encouraged, receiving a nod from Charla. "Let's start by lowering its defenses. Use your Leer attack," Serena said. Charla made an intimidating look at Weedle as its eyes glowed blue for a second. Weedle recoiled a little bit in response. "Great job, Charla. Use your scratch attack on Weedle now," Serena called. Charla nodded and ran up to the Weedle to prepare to use the attack. But Weedle suddenly leapt into the air right at Charla. It was trying to pierce Charla with the stinger on its head. "Watch out, Charla! Dodge it quick!" Serena warned. Charla jumped out of the way just in time as Weedle soared past it. It then turned back to face the Weedle again. Weedle, however, was prepared also, as it turned back around to face Charla as well. It then began shooting several glowing needles from its horn. Once again, Charla jumped out of the way of the attack, but it was a much closer call. "You need to watch out for that stinger, Serena," Ash called. "Don't let Charla get too close to it and attack from a distance." "Got it," Serena acknowledged, nodding her head. "Try an Ember attack, Charla." Just then, Weedle launched itself at Charla again. Charla then began to shoot several small embers from its mouth. The momentum from Weedle caused it to be unable to get out of the way, and the attack collided with it. Weedle was sent plummeting back to the ground in pain. "Way to go!" Ash cheered. "You should be good to catch it now." "Pika-pee!" Pikachu cheered. "All right," Serena said. She then pulled out a spare Pokeball and was just about to throw it when she and Ash heard a voice behind them. "Hello. Would you two by chance be trainers from Pallet Town?" the voice asked. "Yeah, that's us," Serena answered without turning around. "I'm about to catch a Weedle. Could you please hold on a second?" Had she and Ash looked, they would have noticed the glint in the stranger's eyes. "At last, my search is over. Hi-ya!" The stranger cried and leaped into the air. He startled Ash and Serena so much that their attention was diverted away from the Weedle and to him. He then pointed his sword right at Serena's face. It was the boy from earlier that had encountered Misty. Who are you?" Serena asked fearfully while shivering from head to toe. Charla then got beside Serena and took a defensive stance, ready to protect its trainer if necessary. "I am..." Ugh. Samurai started, but didn't finish as he was tackled to the ground by Ash. "Who do you think you are pointing that sword at Serena?" Ash shouted at the boy. "Don't you even think about hurting her." "Relax, I will do her no harm," Samurai yelled back, trying to get Ash off him. "Then why are you threatening us with your sword?" Ash asked while maintaining his glare on the boy. "I'm not threatening you. It's just a good entrance," Samurai tried to explain, still struggling to get Ash off of him, but to no avail. Serena, Charla, and Pikachu continued to watch the scene with interest. Serena felt a rush of affection to Ash that he was protecting her. However, maybe this strange boy was telling the truth after all. "I'm not a thief or anything like that," Samurai yelled again. That's when Misty got to the scene and saw Ash had the boy pinned to the ground. "Ash, I think you can get off of him. I encountered the boy also. I don't think he really wants to hurt us," Misty said on the boy's behalf. Ash glared at the samurai one last time before he finally got off of him. "Alright, so who are you then? And why are you looking for Serena and me?" he asked. Samurai got off the ground and dusted himself off before regaining his composure. "I am Samurai. I am a fearless warrior. I'm on a quest seeking out the trainers from Pallet Town," he spoke in an authoritative voice. The group wanted to let out a laugh at how serious the boy was trying to sound after losing some of his pride just now, but they held it back. "So, why are you searching for us?" Ash asked again. "I seek a Pokemon battle with both of you," Samurai stated as he held out a Pokeball. "Oh no, I forgot about the Weedle!" Serena cried as she spun around to where the Weedle once was, and it was nowhere to be found. It got away, and just as I was about to make my first capture too," Serena groaned. "It's not your fault, Serena," Ash said, trying to comfort her. "You would have caught it for sure if this boy hadn't shown up and distracted us." "Do not blame her failure on me. Only novices do that," Samurai said, giving Ash a glare. Ash and Serena glared back. That was some nerve this boy had. He knew darn well that it was his own fault for distracting them like that. "So, which of you will battle me first?" Samurai asked. "I will," Serena answered. She wanted to pay this boy back for that Weedle getting away. She then turned to Charla. "Are you still up to battle, Charla?" Serena asked. "Charmander," it said as it stood in front of Serena and got into a battle stance. "A fire type. That doesn't scare me. I choose Pinsir!" Samurai yelled as he threw the Pokeball forward. It then opened to reveal a large brown stag beetle looking Pokemon. It stood on two legs and had a large set of pincers on its forehead. Needless to say, it looked pretty intimidating. "A pincer?" Serena questioned as she took out her Pokedex to scan it. "Be careful of those claws, Serena. They look really dangerous," Ash warned. "It's okay. Charla can handle it, huh?" Serena said reassuringly. "You can make the first move then," Samurai said to Serena. "Okay then. Charla, use Ember," Serena commanded. Charla then let loose its embers at a fast pace. Pinsir was slow to dodge it. Charla then let loose its embers at a fast pace. Pinsir was too slow to dodge it, and the move was a direct hit. "Pinsir may be weak against fire, but it'll take more than that to beat it," Samurai stated. He then called out, "Pinsir, tackle it!" Pinsir then took position and charged straight at Charla. Charla, try to jump over Pinsir and use your Ember attack in midair, Serena called. Charla obeyed and leaped over Pinsir before it could hit Charla, but unfortunately, it put Charla right in the way of Pinsir's claws. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. Grab it with your claws, Pinsir, Samurai called. Pinsir then turned around and grabbed Charla in its claws and began to squeeze it. Oh no, Charla, Serena said worriedly. That seemed so cruel to have Pinsir squeeze Charla like that in its claws. Admit defeat and I shall release your Pokemon, Samurai answered. Serena couldn't bear to watch Charla in pain any longer. She closed her eyes and was about to surrender, but Misty's voice stopped her. Wait, Serena, look at Charla's tail, she said, pointing at Charla. Serena opened her eyes, and indeed, Charla's tail flame was getting larger and larger. What's going on? Serena asked. It must be Charla's special ability, Blaze, Ash replied. That triples Charla's power when it sustains a lot of damage. Oh, that's right. We can use that to our advantage, Charla, Serena said to it. Try your Ember attack. Charla then took a deep breath through the pain and blew. But instead of tiny embers like before, these were large fireballs that shot from its mouth. They scorched the claws on Pinsir's head, causing it to cry out from the pain and release Charla. Great, Charla. Now, use your scratch attack, Serena commanded. Charla then began to viciously scratch away at Pinsir. It was moving its arms so fast that Pinsir was unable to retaliate. Pinsir, keep it together, Samurai cried. But it was no use. Pinsir soon fell over in defeat. Way to go! You did it, Charla! Serena praised as she ran over to Charla and trolled it around. Charmander! It said happily as its flame returned to normal. I can't believe I forgot about Charmander's special ability. I should have finished it off quickly. Samurai berated himself as he returned Pinsir. Ash couldn't help but let out a smirk. Huh. It's funny you should call us the novices when it was you who just lost, he said. Don't underestimate me. Remember, I still have another Pokemon, and you still must defeat me, Samurai said while glaring at Ash. I accept, Ash said as he stepped forward. Come on, Ash, you can do it, Serena cheered. I'm prepared for any Pokemon you send out, Ash said to Samurai. Very well, try this, Samurai yelled as he threw the Pokeball forward. The Pokeball landed on the ground and released the Pokemon. Ash had said he was prepared to face any Pokemon, but that didn't mean he was expecting any Pokemon. The Pokemon that Samurai had sent out was a Metapod. He and the rest of the group looked at Samurai in confusion at his choice. A Metapod? Ash questioned. Yes, and freshly caught too. It's been itching to battle, Samurai answered. Wait, you caught it as a Metapod and not a Caterpie? Ash asked Samurai. Yes. Is that a problem? Samurai said, giving Ash another glare. Ash, Serena, and Misty sweat dropped. This kid wasn't nearly as intimidating as he made himself out to be. Every trainer should know that a Metapod caught in the wild would only know Harden. One had to raise it from a Caterpie like Ash did for it to have Tackle and String Shot also. I will harden my Metapod to the point where you cannot inflict any damage upon it. What do you say to that? Samurai laughed. Ash seriously doubted that would be the case. He almost felt insulted that this kid thought he could beat him with a newly caught Metapod. Ash knew he could easily win this battle with Pikachu or Pidgeotto, but decided he would show Samurai up even more by using his own Metapod. Plus, the more battles his Metapod did, the faster it could achieve its dreams of being a Butterfree. Metapod, I choose you! Ash shouted as he threw Metapod's Pokeball forward and released it. Oh great, Metapod versus Metapod. How exciting, Misty said sarcastically. Your Metapod won't be able to do anything once I harden it. Go ahead and use Harden, Metapod, Samurai called out. Samurai's Metapod then glowed for a bit and then stopped. It definitely looked a lot harder than it previously did. Ash figured he could win this match quickly, but decided to entertain Samurai for a little bit. Use your Harden as well, Metapod, Ash said to it. Metapod did likewise what Samurai's Metapod did, and was soon as tough as the other one. Maximum hardness, Metapod, Samurai called. Samurai's Metapod glowed again and again until it couldn't harden any further. Serena thought this was a bit humorous, but Misty was getting annoyed. Come on, Ash, we don't have all day, Misty yelled. Alright, fine. Ash replied before turning back to the battle. Metapod, use string shot and make it to where his Metapod can't move, Ash said. What? Samurai cried. Ash's Metapod then unleashed its string shot attack at Samurai's until it was completely covered. Now that Samurai's Metapod isn't going anywhere, use tackle, Metapod, Ash commanded. Ash's Metapod then hopped forward as fast as it could before colliding with Samurai's Metapod. It was flung into the air from the impact and into a tree where it fell to the ground. Metapod! Samurai called out. It's hopeless, Samurai. Your Metapod only knows harden since you caught it as one. Mine knows tackle and string shot as well since I raised it from a Caterpie, Ash told him. Yeah, fine, you win. Return Metapod, Samurai called as he returned it. Way to go, Ash, Serena said happily as she ran forward to him. Thanks, Serena. Ash replied, returning his own Metapod, but then lowered his voice to where she could only hear, even though it was hardly a battle, causing her to chuckle. Ash then congratulated his own Metapod inside the Pokeball for a job well done. You're one step closer to being a Butterfree, he told it. Samurai then bowed his head and sighed. Alas, I have been defeated yet again by the trainers from Pallet Town. I must get stronger. That got Ash and Serena's attention. Wait, again? Ash asked. So you must have already seen Gary and Leaf pass through here. Ah, yes, that was their names, Samurai confirmed. They were indeed strong Pokemon trainers. I was no match for them. It's nice to hear that they're doing well so far, Serena asked. Come to think of it, we haven't spoken to either of them since we left Pallet Town, Ash said, looking thoughtful. Are they friends of yours? Misty spoke up. Yeah, they started their journeys at the same time Serena and I did. We've all known each other for a really long time. Ash answered. He then added, we should give them a call the next time we're at a Pokemon Center. We have their number after all. I agree about Leaf, but do we really have to call Gary? I mean, all he's gonna do is probably just brag about himself, Serena giggled. Ash laughed in return. Yeah, I can see it now. He then made an impression of Gary's voice. Hey Ashy boy, I've already caught all the Pokemon in existence and got 2,000 badges. I'm the best there ever was. He, Serena, and their Pokemon laughed while Samurai and Misty stood quietly watching, not getting the joke at all. They were then interrupted by the sound of buzzing. The group looked around until they saw a horde of Beedrill over the trees flying straight at them. To top it off, the Beedrill looked pretty angry. I think we should run, Ash said rhetorically, receiving a nod from everyone else. They then turned around as they ran as fast as they could to get away from the group. The group's running didn't deter the Beedrill in the slightest as they continued their relentless pursuit. I don't get it. Why is this swarm of Beedrill chasing us? Serena wondered aloud. Why do we always have to have something chase us? Ash asked Serena as he recalled their first day when they were being chased down by a flock of Spearow. I don't know, but I'm getting tired of it, Serena replied in between breaths as she continued running. Just then, she tripped and fell on the ground. Ah! She cried as she fell. Serena! Ash cried as he turned around to help her back up, while Misty, Pikachu, and Samurai turned to look in concern. Unfortunately, the Beedrill had caught up to them and began to make a nosedive. Hold on! Ash yelled as he and Serena held on to each other tight to brace themselves, but it never came. Once again, Pikachu had saved the day with its Thundershock. It was enough to keep the Beedrill at bay long enough for Ash and Serena to resume running. One Beedrill was a little bolder than the others and managed to graze Ash on the lower arm before it was stopped by the Thundershock. Ash grit his teeth at the pain as he held his arm. You're bleeding, Ash, Serena cried. I'll be fine, he replied, but still grimaced while he said it. We're almost at my cabin. We can seek shelter and treat your wound there, Samurai yelled. Sure enough, the group soon saw a small wooden cabin in the distance. They began to push even harder to get there faster. Samurai reached the cabin first and opened the door, and allowed everyone to pass through before he went in himself. Once he was in, he bolted the door. The group breathed a huge sigh of relief once everyone had made it in safely, but it was short-lived. They quickly let out a gasp again as they saw several of Beedrill's stingers pierce the door in an attempt to get in. The group knew that if Beedrill were able to get in, there would be nowhere to run. After a few tense moments and a few more stingers piercing the door, the Beedrill seemed to give up on their pursuit and flew off. That was way too close. Misty said while panting, the rest of the group agreeing. After a minute, Samurai tentatively began to walk towards the door and peeked outside through one of the holes. "The coast seems to be clear, but I'll go outside and double check to be safe," he said. "I'll go with you. My water Pokemon could help fend some of them off if there are any left," Misty said as she went outside with Samurai. "We'll be back in a bit." With that, she closed the door, leaving Ash, Serena, and Pikachu by themselves. Ash sat down on a nearby chair and continued to clench his arm in pain. The sting hurt, but didn't look deep enough for any of Beedrill's poisons to have gotten inside him. Pikachu then jumped into Ash's lap and began to lick his wound tenderly. It hoped its trainer wasn't in too much pain. "Thanks, buddy," Ash said. He then began to rub Pikachu behind the ears. "I think I should have some disinfectant in my first aid kit for that Beedrill sting. Luckily, it doesn't appear that deep," Serena said as she opened her backpack and pulled it out. Ash took his time to look around at the cabin. It was fairly small and only had one room. It was probably only slightly larger than his living room at home. It consisted of a bed, a table with 2 chairs, one of which Ash was sitting on, a cupboard, a large jug of water on a shelf, and a small stove for cooking. Serena then approached Ash with her first aid kit and a wet washcloth from Samurai's cupboard, and knelt down to see his arm better. "I'll have you fixed up in no time, Ash," Serena said as she began to wipe his wound with the damp cloth. "Thanks, Serena," Ash said. He couldn't help but wince a little while Serena was cleaning him up. Beedrill stings really hurt. "It's kind of funny, isn't it?" Serena asked when she finished wiping the wound. "Doesn't this remind you of when we first met and I hurt my leg? Only now, it's the other way around. I'm the one helping you instead." "Yeah, it does," Ash replied. Serena then got the disinfectant from the first aid kit. "Hold still," she said as she sprayed the wound. Ash grit his teeth from the pain, but didn't yelp. Serena then gave a light giggle. "I know what will help you. A good luck charm." She then waved her hands over the wound. "Pain, pain, go away," she said. "Come on, Serena. Now you're just making fun of me," Ash thought a little in return. "I am not," Serena said with a single pout, but then giggled again. "I thought that was really sweet of you back then." She then took the bandages and began to wrap them around Ash's arm. "Well, I was just doing what anyone else would have done," Ash replied a little embarrassed. "I don't think so. Not anyone would have done what you did. You really went the extra mile for me, and it really meant a lot to me since I was the new kid," Serena said genuinely. "Serena?" Ash trailed. He sometimes wasn't sure how Serena felt about him. Sometimes she would treat him like a best friend, while other times, like now, she would act a little differently. She would compliment him on what a nice guy he was, how handsome he would look if he ever dressed up like he did at the Battle Chateau, or just got really nervous around him. It was almost like she... "There, you're as good as new," Serena said as she finished wrapping the bandages. This snapped Ash out of his thoughts. "Thanks, Serena. You did a really good job," Ash told her as he looked over his arm. "You can always count on me, Ash," Serena assured him with a smile and gave him a wink. Ash smiled in return. "You're right. You've never let me down before. We make a great team, don't we? You, me, Pikachu, Charla, and now we've even got Pidgeotto and Metapod." Serena felt herself blush and turned away. "Anyway, Ash, I'm really glad that we're doing this journey together. You don't understand how happy I was when you agreed." "Of course! How could I ever say no to you?" Ash replied while giving her a thumbs up. Serena smiled and clasped her hands back and shyly looked away. "It's not just that, it's..." They were interrupted by the door opening and Samurai and Misty walking back in. The Beedrill seemed to have won away. "I believe it's safe to leave the cabin now," Samurai informed them. Serena turned away from everyone and made a pouting face. They just had to walk in at that very moment. She had such horrible luck sometimes. "That's great," Ash said, standing back up. "That means we can go ahead and continue our journey. We've been in this forest for a few days now, and I'm about ready to get out." "Finally," Misty muttered. Samurai nodded. "In that case, please allow me to escort you to the edge of the forest. I know the way, so follow me," he said as he walked out of the cabin. "Serena, are you coming?" Ash asked as he and the rest stepped outside. "Oh, yeah, of course." Serena answered and replaced her pouting expression with a neutral one as she turned around to follow them. The group had walked a short distance from the cabin when they heard the sound of buzzing again. They looked around and saw the same horde of Beedrill flying out from the trees around them. The Beedrill then formed a circle around the group. They were trapped. Ash and Serena were highly reminded of the Spearow due to the Beedrill's relentlessness. "I thought you guys said the coast was clear," Ash exclaimed. "It was. They must have hid and waited for us all to appear," Samurai said back. "What do we do now?" Serena cried. "The path to my cabin is blocked. I hate to say it, but we have to fight the horde," Samurai answered. Ash knew that even if they used all their Pokemon, they probably didn't stand a chance due to the number of Beedrill, but he knew they had no other option. He gave a sigh, and then got a serious expression enter the Pikachu. "Are you ready, buddy?" he asked. "Pikachu," it answered. It was ready to defend its trainer to the death if necessary. "All right, go Pikachu," he said as he pulled out his other 2 Pokeballs. "Go Pidgeotto and Metapod." "Misty Call Staryu!" "I choose you, Charla," Serena called. "Pinsir, let's go," Samurai called. Since his Metapod only knew Harden, it wouldn't have been much help in the battle. The Pokemon all came out of their Pokeballs and stood around their trainers ready to protect them. The Beedrill weren't intimidated in the least and charged. "Pidgeotto, use your Gust attack to blow away as many Beedrill as you can. Metapod, use your String Shot to slow down some of the Beedrill. Pikachu, use Thunder Shock on as many as you can," Ash ordered. "Use Water Gun on any Beedrill that come our way, Staryu," Misty yelled. "Since Bug types are weak against fire, use Ember on the Beedrill, Charla," Serena called. "Use your claws to grab any and fling them if they get close, Pinsir," Samurai commanded. All the Pokemon nodded at the orders they were given and immediately began doing them. To their credit, the group's Pokemon were putting up a great fight. The only problem was every time they would defeat one, another Beedrill took its place. The trainers knew their Pokemon couldn't keep this up forever. Pidgeotto was able to blow away many Beedrill, but one was always able to find its way around the current, forcing Pidgeotto to focus its Gust on that one, and the process kept repeating, so it was very busy. Charla had learned to fire off its embers like bullets now, which was clearly useful, but it could still only attack one Beedrill at a time. The same went with Pikachu, Staryu, and Pinsir. Ash was standing closest to his Metapod right now. It was firing away its String Shot as fast as it could, but it was clearly beginning to tire. Its cocoon state could only allow it to do so much in battle. "Metapod, don't push yourself," Ash said to it as he saw it beginning to tire. No sooner had he said that Metapod quit launching its String Shot and began shivering from its fatigue. "I'm sorry, Metapod. I shouldn't have asked so much from you. I'll get you back into the Pokeball where it's safe," Ash said as he pulled out his Pokeball to return Metapod. "Ash, look out!" he heard Serena cry. Ash turned around and saw a Beedrill heading straight for him with its stingers extended. It was getting ready for a Twin Needle attack. It must have found a way through the barrier of attacks when Metapod tired out. Ash was so surprised, he dropped Metapod's Pokeball where it rolled a short distance away. "Pika-Pee! Pishaw!" Ash's remaining Pokemon cried out as they stopped what they were doing to help their trainer. They weren't going to make it in time though. Ash threw himself around Metapod and closed his eyes. If he wasn't going to be safe, he would make sure Metapod was, even if he took 1,000 stings from a Beedrill. Ash had to accept it. Pikachu's Thunder Shock wouldn't save him this time. But there was Metapod. Ash heard stirring in front of him and opened his eyes just in time to see Metapod harden and leap past right in front of the stingers of the Beedrill. It then fell into Ash's arms. The tips of the stingers on the Beedrill broke off and it flew away. "No! Metapod! Are you okay? Are you hurt?" Ash asked frantically once he saw the deep hole that had been cut into Metapod due to Beedrill's stingers. To his great surprise though, there was a massive white glow from inside Metapod, causing all the Beedrill to be disoriented and back off for a bit. Wings emerged from inside Metapod, soon followed by the rest of the body. The creature was butterfly-like and was purple in color with light blue hands and feet and large red eyes. It had large white wings with fine scales covering them. Ash's Metapod had evolved into Butterfree. Butterfree cried in happiness as it stretched its wings and flew into the air next to Ash. Everybody else looked on in amazement. "Whoa, Butterfree," Ash said in wonder as he pulled out his Pokedex to scan it. "Butterfree, the evolved form of Metapod. Its wings are covered with poisonous powders and can help repel water," the Pokedex said. Congratulations, Butterfree! Ash said happily as Butterfree continued to fly around in sheer delight. It finally achieved its dream of becoming a Butterfree. The happy moment was short-lived, however, as the Beedrill had regained their senses and were now flying towards the group again. Ash then got a serious expression on his face. He knew how to deal with these Beedrill. Everyone, continue to fend off the Beedrill! Butterfree, fly around and use sleep powder on all the Beedrill! Ash commanded. Everyone nodded at the plan and continued battling the Beedrill. Butterfree flew high into the sky above the battle and began to sprinkle orange powder from its wings, which descended upon the Beedrill. One by one, the Beedrill continued dropping to the ground until all of them were asleep. Way to go, Butterfree! You were amazing! Ash exclaimed as he ran forward to give Butterfree a hug. He then turned to the rest of the Pokemon. You were all amazing, he acknowledged. Butterfree's so beautiful, Serena said as she came over to Ash. Yeah, for a bug, Butterfree isn't bad at all, Misty complimented as she joined them. Hey Pikachu, Charla, Pidgeotto, come meet Butterfree, Ash called. Pikachu and Charla came over and nodded at Butterfree in praise. They were really excited that their friend was able to achieve its dream. Pidgeotto came over also and nodded its head in approval. It was happy to have another flying type on the team that it could fly around with. Butterfree itself was very pleased. It had just proven to itself that if one follows their dreams, they can certainly achieve them by never giving up. It cried again happily. Serena watched Ash and his Pokemon with a smile on her face. Ash really cares about his Pokemon and can really form a bond with them. He really is amazing, she thought. She then looked over at Charla. I hope one day I'm able to reach that level with my Pokemon. Here's the exit from the forest, my friends. You should reach Pewter City in just a couple of days, Samurai informed them. Thank you for your help, Serena said gratefully. You're welcome, Samurai replied. I'm going to stay here and continue to train hard. Hopefully one day we shall battle again. He then added to say to Ash specially, just make sure not to tackle me to the ground next time. Yeah, sorry about that, Ash said. He had to admit, their first impression of Samurai wasn't very pleasant, but he had turned out to be a nice guy and had gained a friend in him. Samurai then shook hands with everyone. So long, Samurai, Ash said as he and the rest of the group waved goodbye. Farewell. Good luck on the rest of your quest. Samurai called after them as he waved goodbye as well. The group had been walking for a few hours now. Evening was approaching, and if what Samurai said was true, they should arrive in Pewter City the day after tomorrow. Everyone and their Pokemon were in the middle of a field eating their supper, consisting of sandwiches again. They couldn't wait to get to Pewter City to get some real food again. While they were eating, they heard some rustling in the tall grass next to them. Hey, do you guys hear that? Serena asked the group as she turned in the direction of the noise. Yeah, I do. Do you think it's a Pokemon? Misty wondered. The group continued to wait and watch until the source of the noise revealed itself. It was Nidoran. But this time, it was a female one. It was similar in appearance to the male, but was a light blue color and its horn wasn't as long. Oh, female Nidoran! Serena exclaimed with delight as she took out her Pokedex to scan it. Nidoran, the Poison Pin Pokemon. This Pokemon's horn is not as long as the male's, but it's still just as poisonous, the Pokedex said. Oh, it's so cute! Hi there, Nidoran, Serena said. Nidoran shrank back a little, very wary of Serena despite her friendly greeting. Seeing how it was nervous, Serena pulled out some Pokemon food out of her backpack. I know what you might like. How about some Pokemon food? She asked as she held it out to the Nidoran. The Nidoran took a quick sniff. Yeah. It said happily as it walked over and began to eat the food from Serena's hand. You're friendly, aren't you? Is it good? Serena asked. The Nidoran nodded in response. You two seem to be hitting it off just fine. Why don't you try to catch it, Serena? Ash requested. Hey, that's right. Would you like to come along with me, Nidoran? Serena asked as she looked at Nidoran. Nidoran stared back at Serena a moment, contemplating her request. It then nodded. After it nodded, it jumped back and got into a battle stance. I think that's a yes, but it wants to battle you first, Ash said. All right, sounds good, Serena said. She then looked at Charla. What do you say, Charla? Let's capture it. Char! It agreed and jumped in front of Serena. Likewise, with Nidoran, it also got into a battle stance. Both Pokemon stared intently at each other, neither one making a move. Until finally, the Nidoran charged forward for a horn attack. Dodge it, Charla! Serena called. Charla then jumped out of the way, but the Nidoran wasn't going to let it get away that easily. Nidoran turned as soon as Charla did, and once again, it charged at Charla to impale it with its small but lethal horn. Running to dodge isn't going to work, Serena thought to herself. What can I do? It then hit her. Charla, let Nidoran get as close as it can. Wait for my word. Charla said and stood its ground. Nidoran got closer and closer. Just before it connected, Serena made her move. Charla, jump over Nidoran and get behind it, she shouted. Charla obeyed and jumped over Nidoran. Nidoran, however, was running so fast that its momentum didn't allow it to turn and it had to screech to a halt. Charla, use Ember, Serena said. Charla obeyed and shot the embers from its mouth at lightning speed. Due to the speed of the embers, Nidoran was unable to dodge it and was hit by every one of them. While it's distracted, use Scratch Attack, Charla, called Serena. Charla obeyed and ran forward. Nidoran attempted to retaliate by shooting a poison sting from its horn, but Charla leaped over the attack and landed right in front of the Nidoran and began to scratch at it with its claws. Alright, Pokeball, go! Serena cried as she threw it. The Pokeball connected with Nidoran and sucked it inside. The ball landed on the ground and began to shake back and forth. Everyone waited in anticipation. The ball was continuing to shake. Serena wished it would hurry up and stop. The tension was honestly killing her. Finally, the ball quit shaking and dinged to signify Nidoran had been caught. Serena stood there staring at the Pokeball for a moment. She had done it. She had finally captured her first Pokemon. Her face broke out into a wide grin as she ran over to pick up the Pokeball. We did it, Charla! We captured our new friend! She exclaimed as she held her Pokeball high in the air. Charmander! Charla said happily as it ran over to Serena. Serena knelt down and clasped hands with Charla. You did great, Charla, she praised. Way to go, Serena, Ash cheered. I knew you were going to get your first Pokemon soon. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Ash, Serena said as she turned red. Only Ash could make her blush as much as she did. Now that Ash and Serena had both captured their first Pokemon, they were in good shape. Pewter City, the site where Ash's first gym battle was located, was just a couple of days away. They were going to train extra hard. Ash wasn't going to be caught off guard this time like at the Battle Chateau for his gym battle. Likewise, Serena was going to train for her next time at the Battle Chateau in Cerulean City. They were going to win this time.